Put as simply as I can muster, it is not the duty of the media to protect the individual, rather it is the duty of the individual to check sources. It is unwise for someone to take any one source of information as completely valid. Even people with pure intentions make mistakes. In other words, if you read one review for a game and decide to buy it on the opinion of that one review, you're putting all your eggs in one basket. That's plain unwise. If you see a game has a lot of crazy variation in its critical review, you either have to rely on a reviewer you trust, or take a risk with the game.
There's three major problems with that. First of all, if a bigger company is putting a lot of money into a game, it's too easy for them to simply give gifts to major reviewers en masse. I mean, it seems pretty much industry standard to send all the major news sites a super special, "This version is way better than what the plebeians will be getting" edition of a game. How hard would it be to send more of that? Second, there are plenty of games that won't get the attention of smaller titles that game sites choose to support for whatever the reason. Even when said games are critically better received. I mean, look at half of what Nippon Ichi releases. Games are consistently released to critical and cult success, but have never really benefited from the exposure of, say, Gone Home. Finally, and most importantly, a journalist has a duty to report the truth. They take something akin to a Hippocratic oath, promising to expose the truth for truth's sake, for the benefit of the people.
Some journalists are better than others. To claim that 100% of journalists are going to be good and upstanding shows a misunderstanding of human nature. You're never going to find a perfect outlet, and you're never going to find a journalist who's fair and reasoned 100% of the time. In essence, what you're saying is, don't tell me to check my sources, tell journalists to always report fairly. If that argument doesn't work for bullying, theft, rape, or murder, why in the world should it work here?
A bit hyperbolic, but just because something can't be fixed doesn't mean that we shouldn't strive to improve it. No one is expecting to suddenly have a perfect media, we just want to have one that's more objective and detached from outside influence.
Beep boop. This is a game for the PS4. It runs at 60 FPS. It is placed in the action RPG category and uses many reds in its color palette. Beep, beep, beep. No, objective reviews would be terrible. The expectation needs to be before you accept a review from someone.
Look, that might be true, but a good reviewer can separate things that generally detract from a game and the things that they do not like personally. If I don't like scantily dressed women in my games, that's on me. That's something that I don't like personally and should have no bearing on the game. On the other hand, if a game suffers from graphical slowdown, is a bland rehashing of things we've seen before, or is non-functional in some way, those are general problems. What I don't want to see are those general problems being glossed over because of AAA payoffs, or even worse, good games getting detracted a score because of a reviewer's personal outlook. Bayonetta should not suffer a single point of critical dismissal because of her sexual nature. But if someone wants to claim the second game is way too much like the first, that critique is valid.
All you're doing, the way I see it, is proving that you should be looking at multiple reviews before you buy a game.
That might be true, but the fact that media outlets are rubbing shoulders with publishers and individuals pushing political points should be entirely clear.
I don't see the problem.
What? The problem is that those pollute the review. In the long run, that even means that I can't trust those review sites.
Exactly.
I beg your pardon?
If you don't trust a reviewer, don't go to that reviewer. It's as simple as that.
The problem there is that so much, almost all the major outlets are in the pockets of others.
A bit hot rod, but so what? Find a new review outlet. If you can't find some personal reviews, ask a forum or a friend. And if all else fails, review it yourself.
Look, that's all well and good, but the bigger issue is that the outlets with this big exposure are sending messages about games that are going to trend for a less free medium. It's already happened. Far Cry 4 had its artwork changed because of initial bad reception from game websites, and that was all in the interest of political correctness. Other games have had to do the same thing.
That was the choice of the developers. When games come to America from Japan, they get changed all the time to, appeal to a larger market, I guess. Is it stupid? Yeah, but it's nothing new to the industry.
Look, putting angry eyes on Kirby is not the same thing as taking a terrified local holding a live hand grenade off of your box art. The change completely alters the tone of the piece. It's not always art either. Look at the changes Smite was forced to make to its characters.
That is a much more extreme case. Those were gods people still actively worshipped. Add to that, Smite, again, chose to do that.
Sure, but how long until we are, in fact, enforcing sensibility standards on games? I'm sure there are plenty of people that would love to put regulations on games if they could.
Okay, whoa. We're getting into a totally new subject that we can talk about next time.
But for now, tell us what you guys think. Leave a comment or drop us a message. We love to read them, but until next time.
I hope you're playing the devil's advocate.